Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to The Power of Words, Talk with Teens. We will dive today into the crisis around bullying, but also talk about technology and how technology has impacted the lives of teens. And I want to say, as a parent, not just the lives of teens, but the lives of parents at home. And I'm sure there are a lot of parents that will look forward to having this conversation. So let's say welcome to Philip Nazzal, who I have actually interviewed before, who I've known for a great many years. And I'm happy to have you on the set with me today, Philip.
Hi, Mr. Sawaf. It's very amazing to be here right now.
Do you want to tell us where you go to school and how old you are?
Sure. I am 15 years old and I go to school at New Roads.
That's amazing. Was this a transition for you? Did you move from one school from another school to New Roads?
In middle school, I went to Echo Horizon before, but then I transitioned during the COVID period to New Roads, and I've been there ever since.
Okay, now that's a great way to get into the conversation around what was it like, the transition? Because I have 3 kids and I was really afraid of that transition, and my kids went all the way from K through 12 because I worried about the transition and how it impacts kids. But more importantly for you, it was transition and COVID kind of happened at the same time or around the same time. Would you like to talk about that a little and how it affected you?
Sure. Honestly, I will tell you this in my 100% truth. I do not think that any transition period from like one school to another school is this like perfect, like, oh, you're gonna go there, you're gonna fit in perfectly, and you're gonna have like everyone's gonna be like liking you and that stuff. It's a very tough like first couple of months, you know. It was very difficult for me because, you know, COVID had kind of just recently like ended, and there was still some of the aftermath of it where everything was new. Like I had been to a school for like my old school for like 7 years now, and you know, it was weird to be in a new community, completely new people. And frankly, I did not have my mom by my side because she was preoccupied with something else before that.
Well, I'm sorry to hear about that, but mom's always been by your side and she's always been your support and your strength. And sometimes moms can't be there when you feel like you need them the most. Is that what you're thinking? Maybe, you know, she was busy because she was working, because so many kids have that, right? Their parents are working, sometimes both parents are working, and kids are kind of lost. And especially when you're going through a transition, it's new faculty, new friends, everything about it is new. And you spend most of your life in school. And for most kids, you know, don't have the luxury of having their parents all the time. So when your mom suddenly got preoccupied, it changed your life, because at one time you had her around all the time and then she got busy. And do you want to talk about that a little?
Sure. When I was younger, my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer, and unfortunately, she had to undergo a lot of chemotherapy. And during that time, she was very occupied with the chemotherapy. So it was during, like, I would say the midsummer of once I had graduated elementary school and was entering into middle school. The thing is with parents is that we kind of have this, it's like we're very like, everything is new to us in a way. Like everything that we go to, every experience that we have, we're not used to those experiences. And we need the guidance of an adult, because the adult has experienced far more than we have ever done our whole lives. So when that parent is preoccupied usually, or has some stuff that they're dealing with, usually the child has to fend for himself and discover those new experiences, even though it may be tougher on them. So when I went to middle school, when I was trying to communicate with people, I didn't have like the advice like to, oh, go talk to people, or, oh, go to this person, or like, oh, make the first step. I was more concealed because I didn't know what to do.
You didn't know how to express your
I
emotions.
did not, no.
Thank you for sharing that, by the way. It was difficult. The transition was difficult. And I think you were dealing with more than just the emotions of your mum being occupied in the transition of a new school. There was also that fear when someone's ill and you're a child, you really don't know how to approach that and how to deal with that, because it's fear of the unknown most of the time. And I know you went through a lot of that as well
Yeah.
during that time.
It was definitely a fear of the unknown. I mean, despite my mom trying to keep it like, like she's
Positive.
positive and whatnot, there was still that constant fear that maybe she wouldn't make it. So, it's just it was definitely a tough time, and especially during that transition period from like, starting going away from something old that you've been through for so much of your life to something new, not knowing what to do.
So this is where you conceal your emotions and you deal with it all by yourself. Did you ever experience or saw someone experience bullying at school?
I have experienced bullying in the past. I have seen it back in my elementary years. I have experienced bullying, yeah.
Do you feel comfortable sharing?
Sure, yes. So when I was younger and during my elementary school years, I was different than I was now. I comprehended things in a different way than other people had. And the thing with that was people didn't view the world the same as me. So I was not really like the guy who fit in. So, and because I was like very gentle, didn't really like throw out words. I didn't like insult people. They saw me as an easy target, so I'd be constantly the target of bullying, and I'd always be like isolated from the class by my bullies and made fun of for the way I thought or the way I acted.
In hindsight, looking back, what would you have liked to see happen differently then?
I honestly wished someone could have stood up for me, where I could have had someone where I could have had that support in the school. I mean, of course, I had my family to support me, but my family can't always be there in school. I just kind of wish there was just one student who just go up and say, hey, that's not okay, because I definitely didn't have the capability to do that and say, hey, it's not okay, because I didn't have enough emotional intelligence to know how to react to the situation.
So now that you do have the tools to do that and to be able to express how you feel and understand the emotions of others, do you think if it were implemented then, it would have been different for you?
Honestly, I think if it were implemented then I think it would have been much more different for not just me, but for also a lot of other people, because no matter what I'm saying about my stories, other people also experienced a lot of bullying too, and they feared to stand up to the bullies because they feared they would be the target too. Nobody was strong enough to like unite as one and say, no, bullying is not okay and it shouldn't happen and we should protect ourselves from the bullies. Because bullying is a cycle that just keeps on happening over and over again, because you don't know what the bully is going through and you don't know what the
Absolutely.
bully is going through. It's a constant cycle.
Absolutely. And they say 20% of the kids that are bullied are is what's recorded or what you know about and what you hear about. But what about those that suffer in silence? There are so many that suffer in silence.
Unfortunately, that is the truth. The thing is that there's not really a way you can express yourself with bullying. I mean, usually with you can't really go and say, "Hey, I'm being bullied, I'm being like made fun of," because then usually what will happen is the bullies will obviously deny it, of course. They'll be like, "What are you talking about? We're not bullying you." And frankly, it's even if you had the courage to do that, and most kids don't really have that courage to be like, "I'm getting bullied." So instead, they just suffer in silence and hope it just goes away. And unfortunately, and sometimes it just never goes away.
Let's talk on another topic now. Let's talk about a subject that everybody's concerned about, I think, as a parent, but as kids, I'm wondering where you are with what's happening in technology. We can begin with how does technology feature in your life on a day-to-day basis?
Well, social media is definitely like the new way to communicate with other people, like sharing videos with other people, like shooting a text message saying like, "Hey, you want to do something?" Or, like sometimes like TikTok, for example, you can collaborate with someone and be like, "Hey, let's do something together, you and I." It's a good way like we are able to like communicate with each other and bond over social media.
Yeah, that's the positive, right? That's the good that
That
comes
is
from
the
social
positive.
media. That's the positive side of it. If you can control the amount of time you're communicating and texting with friends, and it depends on how much positive messaging you post on social media,
Of course.
what content you're putting out. There's also the negative side to social media that's been the cause of a lot of the mental health issues, the cause of very serious mental health issues.
Yes, you are correct. Honestly, with this type of stuff, it's a double-edged sword. You gotta the positive side, of course. The examples that I've stated, better communication, you're able to bond more with people. But then there's also the negative side you can take from this, where, for example, bullying can happen there, where a person can insult another person behind a screen because they have no repercussions being faced against them because I'm being hidden in a screen. You can't see me. I can say whatever I want to you and nobody can catch me. So why wouldn't I take that opportunity to call you a name or tell you that your content is awful or just bully you in the stereotypical ways?
That's very true. But then, there are also the positive side of it where you can learn things. And I mean, look at how, in the beginning, TikTok was such a threat, but now look at the things you have on TikTok. You can learn absolutely anything you want to on TikTok. But that's also a distraction because you can get so engaged and you can learn anything to do with engineering, to do with fashion. You can make absolutely anything. You can learn to cook any dish you want. It is so fascinating. How do you control that? How do you control the urge to keep going on? Because if I get onto something like TikTok or Reels and I find all this amazing content, and this is how you do crochet, and this is how you can paint, and this is how you can draw. It's like a whole class right in front of your eyes and your hands. And how do you control that as a kid? As an adult, it's difficult.
Honestly, the thing is that with social media, it's really how you put it there, how you use it that is really like judges how you're going to learn or not. For example, like if let's say I want to learn more about I don't know, cooking. Like you said, you can just find it on social media and it will teach you everything you need to know because professionals will teach you how to do it on a video for free.
Yeah.
But the thing is, there's also people out there who also have like, they like to do their own content that doesn't necessarily like teach you anything, but it does like make you laugh or like make you feel better after a long day. But the problem is that if there's too much of that, like not learning anything, then it just becomes quickly an addiction, like always wanting to go back and watch more to see if you're gonna get that same feeling you got from that one video you watched. Like I said previously, it's like a double-edged sword. It's really how you use it that really determines if it's dangerous or useful.
You seem like a very balanced kid, but truthfully, have you ever been carried away, and have you ever felt like you were getting addicted to it? Because the next question is, do your parents monitor you?
Honestly, I would say that yeah, social media can get extremely addicting. I mean, like it's like back then there has never been a way where you can just find the content you want and the content that you can just scroll, and it's tailored to your interests, like the personal algorithm that is like you can put whichever video you want to put. You can, like, let's say I want to watch this, I want to watch that, I want to watch this, and it can quickly get addicting because it's like I want to continue watching what I like. So honestly, I can admit, yes, it can get very addicting. Like I can just, one day I'm looking at my phone, I'm trying to do something important,
Yeah.
and then it's just like it's not even like realizing. I just, and then I'm like blank out for a second, and then I look back and I'm like, oh my God, I'm on Reels. I'm supposed to be doing this important work, but instead I just
Yeah.
put myself back on Reels or Shorts or TikTok or whatever, or whichever social media app I'm using. So it can get very addicting. Yes.
I was thinking and talking, and I know there's been a lot of talk about it, but how do you feel about if there was ever this rule that came out and they shut down? I wish they could do it, but all satellites 6 to 9 in the evening, just shut it down, and there was no technology. Would you like that?
I think it'd definitely be interesting. I think if they did that, I think it could work. But then again, there are also a lot of people who would love to just like profit off it. So they'd like create something else that like bypass the other thing. It's very interesting because if you like get rid of something, that just makes someone want it even more. So that's also another thing you have to worry about when it comes to like banning it like 6 to 9 or like something like that.
Okay, so if your parents said, okay, Philip, you come home from school, do your homework, do whatever you want, spend an hour on your phone, and then 6 o'clock, you put your phone in the basket or the bucket or whatever, and you don't get it back until 9 o'clock, until we've had dinner. And because now that I'm asking you this and your parents hear it, they might actually decide to do that. So think about your answer.
I think it's honestly, it is the parent's decision at the end of the day, like whether the child is going to decide if they should have their
Did
phone or
you
not,
hear that?
because it's the I'm hoping my mom isn't getting any ideas. It's honestly at the end of the day, the child is under the parent's jurisdiction until the age of
Thank you.
18. And
And above.
even though it's fun, you have to admit that they're just honestly looking out, like 95% of parents are looking out for the best for you.
Absolutely. They are looking out for the best. So, and they're protecting you. They're protecting you from this overload of information as well. And not all of it might be worth it, or might not be information you really need. It might just be whiling away your time with unnecessary stuff. What would you like to talk about? What's a topic that's interesting, or something interesting that you'd like to share? Do you want to talk about the power of words? You've been an ambassador for 2 years now.
You know, I think that'd be a great idea. I'd love to talk about the power of words, talking about the power of seven.
When we first started, actually, there's a story I tell very often, and many of you have probably heard it in interviews. I talk about a young boy who was going to a basketball game, going to his first basketball game. And he's here with me today. So I'll let him tell you the story about the bands he wore, because he called me and told me how it affected him.
Ooh, so it was a very crazy day actually. It was one time I was on the basketball. I joined the basketball team in my school, and I had no prior knowledge of basketball whatsoever. I did never played on a team before. The only thing I had was like I maybe like shoot a couple of shots in like my backyard occasionally. So one day I joined the team, I made it in, and I was going to play my first game. I was extremely nervous because all of my other teammates seemed very committed to the sport. They wanted to win. They had trained a lot, like 10 times more than me. And frankly, I was a bit nervous, like maybe I'd screw it up for my team. Maybe I would do something to like I don't know, do a mistake that my teammates would be upset at me for, because I had never played previously. So what happened was I wore the bracelets. I wore Warrior and Compassion. I wore those two bracelets to the basketball game because I wore warrior so I could portray what I wanted to feel when I was in the basketball court and what I wanted my teammates to see in me when I'm playing in the court. I also picked compassion on the other hand because I wanted my teammates, even if I struggled in the game, my teammates to have compassion for me and to support me even if I didn't know how to play the game at all.
No, that's amazing. And, you know, so powerful because that's such a great example of putting out an emotion, expressing it so people can see it around you, and then asking for an emotion. And until you said that to me when we talked, when we start the Band Bond initiative, I usually like to talk to, if they're youth, for the first 7 days. So we try to do it after school or in between school and homework or between school and dinner. And one of the things Philip said to me is like, I literally held my bands before I went onto the court. And it's powerful. And I didn't realize at that time that he was mature enough to be able to put out a message for his teammates to ask for compassion. And that was really powerful. And I'm really glad to see you wear it, you know, regularly. And how does it affect you? And if you can tell me how you feel about the program being done in a community, what do you feel about that? And how do you feel like if it was done with other kids
Well,
within the same group?
I feel like it's definitely a way of saying I a message without saying it like directly. Like for example, if we're in a community, let's say I pull up with I come to them with like compassion and they can see my bracelet and instead of me screaming out, "Hey, I want compassion. Hey, can you please be compassionate towards me?" They can see my bracelet and they can think he wants compassion and we should respect his decision to have the compassion. So I feel like it's a good way of spreading a message when you don't want to really like share out those emotions. It's a perfect way of indicating I'm not comfortable to talk about it, but I still want to let it go. So I think it's a great initiative to be doing with the bracelets, spreading it throughout other communities.
Yeah, and you know, speak out, for example. So if you're wearing speak out today, do you
I
want to
am.
tell me about that?
Speak out. I was like in the morning, I was thinking like, what bracelet should I be doing? I mean, this is such a special day. I'm on this podcast right here, and I really needed to find a bracelet that would actually represent what I wanted to feel today. So I decided I was looking and I was looking, and then two in particular caught my eye, but I think this one is the main one that caught me in the eye, and it was speak out. And I thought for a second, I'm on a podcast. I want to be spreading my information to other people around me, and I feel like the perfect bracelet is speak out.
Emotional intelligence is what it teaches you because one of the things that's really important is, you know, we have, and we talk about it so often, we have therapy, we have therapists, and we need all of that. But we also need to be able to understand the emotions of each other without having to express them. And sometimes it's just like walking onto the basketball court and giving someone a high five because they're wearing Warrior, for example. It's a way of communicating with a complete stranger in the cafeteria, maybe, just because you have a common way of communicating.
Of course, it's like the perfect way to say, I want to be a warrior, or I want to be compassionate, or I want to feel compassion, or I want to feel optimism, or anything. Despite them having such very simple words, they carry out a lot of definitions. I mean, for example, if you're doing warrior, you could mean I am trying to be, for example, with me, I was trying to be a warrior on the basketball court. But then it could also mean I'm trying to be a warrior for, let's say, my family. I am trying to be strong for my family if something is going wrong.
Yeah.
Or maybe if I'm like in a group project, also think that it would be a great idea. I think that the warrior bracelet represents me, so I can like be a leader for my group and lead them to success.
Absolutely.
It's like three definitions in one word, and it's really what the bracelets are able to do. They're able to portray different emotions in just one word.
No, that's amazing. And as you get to talk to people and say, why did you pick the word? You might find 20 different definitions for the one word and 20 reasons why people are trying to be a warrior.
Of course. It's honestly a great thing to have, like each one having a definition, because in the end of the day, we're all unique. We're all like very unique people. So in a way, we can, with the bracelets, we can be able to share what we think and what makes us unique and authentic.
We started this talk today with magic. Tell me about your magic.
Magic, I felt like today I picked the word when I was in the morning checking which bracelets to choose. I first picked speak out, but then I realized there was another bracelet that I also wanted to do, and I felt magic would also be another good word to use, to like bring magic to this podcast, like bring out like this magic, like the inspiration to like, let's do this, let's spread the information, let's spread the good word, and be magic.
You are magic.
Thank you.
And thank you for being magical. Last question for you. You mentioned to me yesterday that you wanted to start a club, and you seemed really excited about it. Talk to me about that.
The club. So my school deeply loves clubs. They always want to do, they want people to spread their words throughout different clubs. So I was thinking, what's a good way to spread this awareness of the power of words and like the message that it's trying to convey? And I thought of the idea of starting up a club where, supported by the power of words, I can be able to spread mental health throughout my school and just teach people about how to handle emotional health and emotional intelligence, and better spread the word.
Bravo. Thank you. Philip, thank you for being here and sacrificing your game or wherever you had to be to spend some time with us.
I know we're glad to be here. Thank you.
We've tried this a few times and tried to schedule it a few times, but with school, it's been really difficult, and with your sport, and you're doing really well. And I'm so glad to see you shine. I am so proud of you, and good luck with your club and good luck with school. And thank you for being an ambassador.
Thank you, Mrs. Sawaf. I'm very happy that you gave me this opportunity to be on here today and spread the good word. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you to Andy Wallman, Studio Place. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I can say that this is not the first Talk with Teens. We will see Philip back here. We will pick other topics trending for teens. There are so many important issues that we'd like to share. So until next time, thank you all for joining in. Bye-bye now.